Welcome back. And Shola Rogers is in the studio. It's 2 days after that defeat, right? Good morning. It's good to have you.
The morning after, the morning after.
Right.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Life goes on.
Life goes on. That's what it is. Well, we're still not happy about it. But then before
we would have preferred to do a preview of the final, but we'll be doing the third place instead. Such a shame.
Heartbreaking. Okay, before the heartbreak, anyway, before we talk about that, let's quickly talk about the Women's League and all of that. You know, we've been anticipating and waiting for it, and we thought, okay, this week we're going to have it. But then the news coming from the Nigeria's Women's Football League board says that they postponed the league by 1 week because some teams have failed to register. So they've given them until Friday this week to actually, register, or these teams will be taken out, of the league. They also have to start the league without them. And if you look at some of the clubs, you're like, okay, what's happening? Bayelsa Queens, for instance, they're defending champions. I mean, they've not registered. Then you also have another team, newly promoted side, Dream Stars of Lagos State. They haven't registered. Invisible Agents from Boko, they also haven't registered, newly promoted side also. Heartland Queens, Weary. What's happening? Yet to register. So these clubs are actually holding. Abia Angels just recently, quickly, they had to go do their registration recently and all that. So these clubs are the ones holding the league to ransom, so to speak. So can they just register? I mean,
can I disagree with you on your choice of words? Holding the league to ransom, yet to register, league postponed by a week. Everything just shows that we're not serious. Look, in a serious league, or a league company that's serious about managing the league, you don't bend the rules. You don't bend the rules. There's a deadline. And this is why we'll continue to struggle. This is why Nigeria, with all her potential, will continue to be mediocre. And this is rubbing off on everything we do. The national teams will suffer. You set a deadline. Keep to your deadline.
And the draw was done.
Keep to your deadline.
Fixture release and all that.
Keep to your deadline. Show them that you're serious. On the flip side, I have not gotten information from any of the teams to find out what is the reason why they have not registered. They might even have valid reasons for not registering in the first place. This is a sad development for Nigerian sports, especially football, because the women's game is suffering a lot. There's so much work to be done. And look, it's not compulsory to have a league if you do not have all the elements of the league in place. So maybe this is an opportunity for us to rejig the system. Maybe they need to sit down with the stakeholders in women's football and find out how they can create something that works for us. Look, we don't need to copy the rest of the world if we don't have what it takes. If these teams are not registering, you postpone the league. What happens if they don't register in a week's time? You postpone the league.
This is the final warning.
Final deadline. But we know how it works right here.
Guys, final deadline. After now, if they don't, then the league will have to start without them. So they will no longer be eligible to actually take part in the 2018-2019 season.
You don't do that. You see, you plan your league ahead. Yes, it is subject to certain changes when the league starts. Say, for instance, there's a Nigerian team playing on the continent that you can mix or move things around for them. But
not because teams have not registered.
No. So
that's a no-no for you.
It's a no-no. It's a no-no. We keep dropping the bar. We keep dropping the standards. And we expect to compete.
You think a club like Bayelsa Queens, for instance, they won the league last year and all.
So have they not registered?
They haven't registered.
Why not? They knew all along that there was a date for them to actually register.
Apart from the two newly promoted sides that are owned by private individuals and all that, the other two are state-owned. Heartland, for instance. Bayelsa, for instance.
Some of the issues that those clubs might have is the change in government and the fact that most of them are tied to the apron strings of the ministries of sports in their states. There are no commissioners yet. The DGs might not have access to funds and all of that. That's me trying to think of, because we know how these things operate, and if that's the issue, you start to ask yourself, all these years, how come they don't have a structure in place? They don't have a management team, that can run independent, even if it's a government, even if it's a government-owned establishment. What they do is get funds, You know, at least there's a TSA and all of those things to check how funds come in and go out. But if they have to wait for a last-minute embarrassment on TV or in the papers, when maybe it's when the governors of those states now say, "Oh, have we not registered? Why are they talking about our team?" You know, then they're now
listening now.
Yeah, they're now, you know, still the same fire brigade thing. You know, and that's it. That's what I'm really sore. I feel pain on behalf of the footballers who might lose another opportunity. So this league has been postponed over and over and over again. You understand? So if they're not ready, let us get back to draw a new plan. You know, maybe organize a knockout tournament, at least for them to get busy and pick a champion and all of that, while we think of a master plan. Because Nigeria has talent, but the conveyor belt is broken.
There's nothing there.
Okay. So we hope that the new date sticks and the league actually kicks off. It's very important. Yeah,
it's important. We can see the proposed day one fixtures. Let's just leave it, because at the end of the day, everything is like, you know.
That thing is not tenable
no
at the moment.
At all. We just have to wait and see if the registrations will be completed by Friday, and the league will definitely start in earnest. Maybe next week, Wednesday. Yeah, that's when. That's the hope.
Fingers crossed.
Right. We're still talking women's football. We're not living just yet. The World Cup has come and gone. Nigeria's gone there. Squeezed into the round of 16, lost to Germany as expected. A lot of people didn't see Nigeria winning that game. I saw Oshoala has been speaking, and this time, what's she talking about?
Yeah, I mean, on the proposed, FIFA have actually been talking about the fact that they want to increase from 24 to 32 because of the, the people that actually tune in to watch and the fans that came to the stadium to see it. And also another one is from 30 million, that's the prize money, to 60. At the men is still 440, right? 440 million, that's what I'm talking about. 400 but the women are increasing it from 30 to 60. She talked about that. And also the fact that equal pay is not really a thing for Africa right now because they have other serious issues. Example, make the league better.
Africans even getting paid in the first place.
Let's hear from her. And after that, Shola will have to react to all the things she talked about.
The increment for the winning is good, but I mean, still not enough. Personally, I would say still not enough. The male teams can be having about 400 or thereabout and giving 60 to the women. I mean, that's not enough. If you're preaching equality, then it has to start from you as well. So there's still more to do, and it shows they're listening to people, and the campaign going on all around the world is actually getting to them. They're trying to make some certain improvements, but it's still not enough. Yeah, 32 countries now instead of 24. I think it's good, but then again, 4 years is enough for each continent to prepare much more better and organize much more better leagues and all of that. So I think they also introduced the World Cup or something. I like this because it will make Africa to pay more attention to female leagues because we don't have Champions League. Some people don't even get paid for the salaries or whatever. So maybe now FIFA will actually put in more interest in African teams, because if you're playing this type of tournament, then it has to be like confederation games, or there have to be like Champions League games between the countries in that continent, So I think this way to make the leaders in Africa to pay attention to female leagues. We have more pressing issues in Africa rather than fighting for equal pay. These are the things. I mean, the league is not good. We don't have good structure for the leagues in Africa as a whole, not just Nigeria. So I think there's a whole lot of components that needs to be touched for proper improvement and proper structure. So I think the COSAFA thing is really good, and CAF, they have to work more. They have to pay more attention to female football, because we are the people that actually bring attention to Africa. I'm proud to say that it's only the female teams that actually bring more attention to Africa. When it comes to the male team, they do good, they do their best or whatever, but then it's always pretty difficult for them to go past group stage as well. So I think with more attention for the female teams, CAF will get more support from bodies and all of that.
Yeah, it's all about support and also good structure for the league.
She mentioned a few points. I'd like to get Shola's reaction to that. First of all, she talked about the increase from 24 to 32. What do you make of that one, considering the success of France 2019?
First of all, for me, and leading off from what you said, France 2019 was the best Women's World Cup ever.
I agree.
Like, I've been watching this World Cup for a few days now, but this particular one was massive. Talking about the quality of play. At some point, people were comparing the standard of the France 2019 to AFCON. And a lot of people would rather watch Women's World Cup. That was how good the quality of play was.
Right.
So finally, we have a product. Now, at France 2019, we saw the crowd. The turnout was amazing. We have a product. We have something to sell. Women's football is now very attractive. So, feeding off that, and I've said that on this table a couple of times, it's time for women. You see, we keep talking brands and all. Before the brands come on board, you must build the product for them to buy. So it's time for women to go support women. It's time for women to go watch women's football. Buy your tickets at the gate. Buy their jerseys. Buy the club paraphernalia and memorabilia and all of that. Support women's football. We have more women statistically than men. But we have more women watching men's football than women watching women's football.
Talk about that.
You know, you showed a picture earlier of a team in Lagos at the Agege Stadium celebrating. The stands behind them were empty. You showed it a few seconds ago,
But let's say women turn up to watch men's games.
And they go watch the men's games and all of that, you know. So, first things first, let's have all the women come out. 2, let's have the men really, really support them. Not this lip service that everybody's paying to women's football. When we do that, then you can now go to the corporates and say, look, we need you guys to buy into this. Treat it as CSR, treat it as whatever, or business. Because if they see the crowd, if they see the numbers, you see, today's business is about numbers. If they have strong presence on social media, for instance, they can make money from that. They have a vibrant website. They bring the crowd to the stadium. People know that they can bring their stuff to sell. You know, you can sell women sensitive things or women specialized products at the stadium. People will buy. You know, so they're keying into a product that is working. But we don't have that. We don't have a league. You can't call this a league. We've gone to watch games. We've gone to watch games at funny places. I saw a picture that I posted on Facebook like 8 years ago, and it popped up, and I was like, wow, we actually went to watch women's football at this place. There are no bleachers. There's nowhere to sit down. We were all standing around, and it was a National League game. It was a top Premier League game for women, you understand? We need to stop all of that and, you know, create a good product. Borrow from the LMC if you have to, but create a good product. Let people key into it. Then when we have a proper league, you're talking about the conveyor belt from under 17. You're talking about under. Do we have an under 13 women's team? Do we have an under 15 women's team? Do we have an under 17 women's team? How vibrant are they? How well are they, you know, being trained? We need to put all those things in place. We need to work with the academies. We need to work with the schools. You know, we basically have a lot of work to do. So, but you see, this is my problem, and this is the problem that Nigeria has. We pay too much attention to elite sports. It's the finished product. Everybody wants to go to the World Cup. But what are you doing about getting the talent that we do well at the World Cup? This way, for the next 4 World Cups, Nigeria will struggle. If we don't go back to the basics, if we don't go back to school sports, if we don't go back, you know, and do what we're doing. Look, I'm sorry, guys. You guys might not like what I'm about to say, but Channels Kids Cup has been running for a couple of years now. Where's the women's version? Even if it's just 4. Sorry?
So it's coming.
Okay. Even if it's just 4 teams, let's start with something. No, it's a serious matter here. How do we treat the women? And these ladies have done us proud. They've won more laurels for Nigeria than the Super Eagles have. But the Super Eagles is a strong brand. So we must make the Super Falcons a strong brand too. And these are the things that you need to do, amongst other things.
Yeah, Shola, I mean, it's so hard to talk about this thing without coming back home, which is what Shola has done. It's brought it back right to the problems exactly in Nigeria. But on the world stage, you'd say the Women's World Cup is getting better, both from the business and perspective and the sporting perspective as well. So just this last World Cup generated $131 million and 20% of that went to the teams. And so, I mean,
it's an improvement.
Progress.
It's a marked improvement.
What more do you want?
You know, she said something about equal pay. We know that Norway lost a player because she's fighting the cause of equal pay for women
In Norway.
footballers. Yeah. In America, it's a big deal. Rapinoe, all of them, even Hope Solo and co are still talking about equal pay for women. But statistically, the women are getting a larger percentage of the revenue generated than the men are.
That's FIFA. No, you
at
were
FIFA
essentially
level.
talking about their own.
No, at FIFA level.
We're talking of
FIFA level.
At
Yeah,
FIFA level. Because he was talking about the World Cup. At FIFA level. So, if FIFA can do 20% of their income, if we increase the income for women,
it's gonna increase.
The women will get more money.
That's what
the teams will get more money. It's that simple. It's simple mathematics. So how do you increase the income? It's to create a good product. And what we saw in France was a good product.
And that's why
so we must build on it and take it a notch higher.
And that's why I feel by the time the next World Cup comes around, we'll be talking about an increase again in terms of monies generated
from
for the World
30 to 60. So, and they're also talking about increasing it to 30 to another, but people will have to meet to decide that and everything.
I mean, it's interesting times for women in football.
Before we move away from it, I saw a lot of things that Infantino is proposing. They're still at proposal stage. If they can do half of those things, it will take us closer to lifting the women's game.
Absolutely.
Okay, and also CAF can take a cue from FIFA.
Oh, most definitely.
CAF,
WAFU, NFF,
Nigeria,
you know, LSFA, ODSFA, all of them. They need to do more for women's football.
Okay. I think they can do that. Okay, now let's leave the women's game now and just quickly talk about this one. I mean, let's just do the review of the game. Because the review of what's going to happen. Yeah.
We don't have a choice.
Do you have to still do that?
We have to do it.
Preview of that game.
Preview
of what is to come. Preview of what is to come, yes. Preview of what is to come. That's
Nigeria versus Tunisia.
Yeah, preview of what is to come, not review of what happened on Sunday. Okay. Now, Nigeria and Tunisia, third place match. And there's a whole lot of history and head-to-head in the record between these two sides and all that, knowing that Nigeria in that, there was a time, I think 1970. If you can just see, the head-to-head record of what it's looking like, so that Shola Rogers can talk about this one. That was 1978 in Accra, Ghana, third place match, and it was 1-0, it ended. So Nigeria won 2-0 on penalties. Ended 2-0 at the end of the day. They also have another, okay, there you have it.